Rabbit Hole Roundup, episode 99. Now you see me, now you don't. So guys, in today's edition of the Rabbit Hole Roundup, I'll be starting off by reviewing the third movie in the Now You See Me series, which came out a few weeks ago after an almost 10-year wait.
The other horsemen are dead.
Oh my god, what?
No, they're like dead to me.
Just to be clear, this will be a spoiler alert, so I will make sure to let you guys know when that part comes up, just in case you guys do plan on seeing it and haven't done so already. But overall, I loved it, and outside a few minor critiques, I thought it was really well done. And that's a movie that I don't think you could really go wrong with, in my opinion. Following that, I have my latest top 5 segment being my top 5 favorite NBA players who never made an all-star team. And not gonna lie, 2K played a role in making this list. But most of these guys were actually highlight reels waiting to happen throughout their whole careers. And hey, they deserve some extra love and appreciation for that. Then I have a clip coming from one of my favorite positive content creators, Sam Demma, where he talks about taking the right actions, even when it might not be popular to do so. As well as how taking the right actions still doesn't give you control over the end outcome.
Serenity now! Serenity now!
And there's some powerful lessons to be taken away from this. And finally, before diving into this week's sports recap, I have a clip that reminds you that you matter, and someone out there loves to see you and loves to speak to you every day, and values you even if they don't always tell you about it, or even when you may not feel like you're being appreciated. And of course, to finish things up, I have this week's sports recap, NFL Week 13, as well as NBA talk. So without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Rabbit hole time, let's go.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know, it must mean not subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on the video. Follow me on every platform, and if you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through It by Jared Weiss. All links purchased on my website, which is jaredbryanweiss.com. That's JaredBryanWeiss.com. Buy the book, support me, and make sure to check out all the awesome shirts in there as well. Every shirt has been designed by me, every shirt is made of 100% organic cotton, so any support at all as most things will be very much appreciated. So let's dive deeper into this week's rabbit hole now. So to start things off, I saw the new Now You See Me movie last week with my brother. Now you see me, now you don't. So just a warning once again, I will be giving away some spoilers in this segment. So if you guys haven't seen it and plan on it, skip this section and come back to it later on. But after a long wait of almost 10 years since the second movie, we got the third installment.
It is very good to be back.
And overall, I thought it was great. I'm not sure what the reviews are gonna say, but I loved it, as did my brother. Our main critiques were that it moves so fast and there were so many reveals throughout, so at times it was sort of hard to process it all in the moment.
8 magicians against a worldwide criminal network.
And also the fact that Mark Ruffalo didn't really play a role in this one until the final scene, which of course sets up the fourth movie. But in this one he was supposed to be locked up in some Russian prison, which I'm not sure if maybe there was some type of contract dispute going on there, but he's definitely going to be back for the fourth movie. Thankfully, however, the rest of the cast all came back. And I really loved how Henley, who's played by Isla Fisher, made her return because of how great she was in that first one.
But is a diamond trumped by a heart?
Now honestly, I was a bit worried at first because in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, you saw all the prior stars as part of a hologram, but then there were 3 new characters in Charlie, June, and Bosco, who were all acting as the Horsemen. And then of course by the end of the movie, all of them had joined the group. But initially though, it looked like just Daniel Atlas, who's played by Jesse Eisenberg, was going to be the only returning cast member. But of course, slowly but surely, we see that the Eye sent out cards to everyone. Although it turned out in the major plot twist, Charlie was actually the one who was doing all that work. And he's the one who set up the whole elaborate trick. Now the really sad part though, is that Morgan Freeman's character, Thaddeus Bradley, actually died in this one.
This room is where old relics go to their final resting place.
Yep. I was kind of hoping he was going to come back at the end, and it would turn out the whole thing was actually planned by Charlie. And who knows, maybe there's a way to bring him back. Although of course he's getting up there in age, but his character was still great in this one. But I really enjoyed having both sets of magicians working together to take down this evil woman named Veronica Vanderberg. I also liked all the World War II magic stories because who doesn't like a whole occult magic hidden story from World War II? I always find them super interesting. Of course, the major plot twist in this was that Charlie was actually Veronica's half-brother. So a ton of misdirection and a ton of plot twists throughout. And every time you thought you had it all figured out, it turns out that you didn't.
You convinced yourself that you were one step ahead when you were always 2 steps behind.
Now my only other big criticism I could think of was that Dylan, aka Mark Ruffalo's character, his whole story with his dad wasn't mentioned in this at all, and based on how the second movie had ended, I was kind of thinking that maybe it turned out Dylan's dad, Lionel Strike, was actually still alive, and that he survived his whole elaborate trick, and then maybe he's been part of the Eye all along, but this movie didn't mention his story at all, so there's a chance that maybe we'll see that story come back in the fourth movie. But overall, I loved it, and I would highly recommend seeing it if you haven't already. But once again, if you haven't seen it, you probably shouldn't have watched that part. Anyways, moving right ahead, I have the latest top 5 segment being my top 5 favorite NBA players who never made an All-Star team. So this week I was thinking about taking off another week from the top 5 list, but then suddenly I was struck with some inspiration. So it's time for the top 5, or at least my top 5 favorite NBA players who never made an All-Star team. Now to be clear, let me repeat. These are my 5 favorites. So I don't want to hear anyone saying oh, you missed this player, or oh, you're so stupid for saying that one. And yes, while all these guys can hoop, this isn't me saying these were the 5 best to never make an All-Star team. Just my 5 favorites. And for part of my criteria, only real hoopers are going to get this. But a lot of this judgment comes from who are the best 2K players, especially over the past 10 to 12 years maybe. So first up I'm going with Gerald Green, the 4-fingered assassin. And no, that's not me making fun of him. But years ago, he got his finger stuck in the rim after trying to dunk, and ended up losing some of it. Now, I didn't realize this until recently. I always thought I was the only one who knew how to dominate 2K games with Gerald Green, but if you look online, you'll see many people actually consider him to be one of the best underrated 2K players of all time. On the court though, so often this guy doesn't get the love that he deserved. Early on in his career, of course, after coming out of high school, he was known mainly as just a dunker, and his dunk contest dunks happen to be some of my all-time favorites. Whether it was the blowing out the candle above the rim, which might be, in my opinion, the most creative dunk ever done, and executed perfectly. He also did the D Brown. This guy was an absolute high flyer, maybe even the highest jumper in NBA history, and later on he developed a great 3-pointer too. I mean, when he joined my former favorite team, the Phoenix Suns, he became lethal in that offense and averaged over 15 a game one season. And in recent years, I actually enjoyed watching him win a Big 3 championship, playing alongside his brother. So an amazing highlight reel waiting to happen at all times. Number 2, I'm going with Nate Robinson, the guy who made heart over height a thing. Now maybe it's obvious, maybe not, but he's always been one of my biggest inspiration as an undersized hooper and an aspiring short dunker myself. My grandpa and I first loved watching back when he was at Washington, and he may even be one of the best overall athletes of all time. He was jacked and shredded, and still is to this day, but he could tear it up both on the football field and the basketball court too. He was ferocious on the court and once blocked Yao Ming. He had some crazy dunks despite being only 5'9", and he even had some 40+ point games during his career too. As whenever he got it going and whenever he got hot, he became electric. Now unfortunately, the under 6 foot guard has basically been outlawed from the NBA, but the 3-time dunk contest champ was amazing to watch. I mean, especially during his runs with the Bulls and the Knicks, his handles were super tight, he had a jumper, and of course his athleticism was unmatched. Number 3, I'm going with Jimmer Fredette. So much of today's generation will never know what it was like being in middle school or high school and being Jimmer Range. This was of course before Steph Curry, and I guess around the same time that people used to say Kobe, especially whenever they would shoot a ball, or on the other hand would shoot a piece of trash into the trash bin. But don't get it twisted, all of us were honoring Jimmer, especially after his whole miraculous run at BYU. He would pull from anywhere on the court, and as soon as he crossed half court, he was a threat to shoot. His college tourney game against Florida was an absolute masterpiece and thing of beauty. Another underdog who maximized every ounce of talent that he had. However, it pissed me off when he was never really given a fair shot in the NBA, in my opinion at least. Just as I've been saying when it comes to Mac McClung. I don't get it, when you see what this guy did in college, why you don't give him a Steph Curry kind of opportunity? Instead it was always spotty minutes, and you could tell the coach never really believed in him or trusted him enough. And no one ever really gave him much confidence he had in college. I do remember him having a couple of solid games here and there, but he was never really appreciated for how good he could be. So he goes overseas to China, and was putting up 70-point games there, and winning MVP over there too, as well as in recent years, he became a US 3-on-3 Olympic representative, which of course was really cool to see. Number 4, I'm going with Jeremy Lin Sanity. So this guy had one of the most unlikely runs in sports history, a Harvard grad who comes from the G League, and for a few weeks span on the Knicks, Linsanity took over. He was hitting game winners, going for 37 against Kobe and the Lakers, He was even waving off Carmelo Anthony. It was a fun time while it lasted, being in New York. Then when he went to the Lakers, he actually continued putting up some crazy performances. Of course, he did bounce around the league a lot after that. Whether it was the Rockets alongside James Harden, he went to the Hornets, he was on the Hawks, and he was always a really solid player after that. Maybe he was never the all-star like he showed during that few weeks spent in New York. Oh, and he was on the Nets too. But he did have like a solidified role in most of the teams he played for, and he averaged over 11 points a game for his career as well as over 4 assists. So he wasn't just a spectacle, but like he could hoop too. Now at number 5, I'm having a slight inner debate, and I will be giving 2 honorable mentions after this, but I'm going with J.R. Smith. This guy was just like a pure hooper. A guy who at times might look like an airhead, or like someone who's not even trying, but these could sometimes be the most fun hoopers to watch. It's like he could walk into a gym and light you up for 40 without even warming up at all. His best season came during the 2012-2013 season with the Knicks, where he averaged 18 a game and also had like one of the 6 alley-oop dunks ever. But his overall effortless style of play, to go along with crazy handles and also like insane hops, which of course led to so many highlight reel dunks, was always fun to watch. And he could shoot too. As soon as he got hot, he even had like 9 or 10 threes in the game once, I think. There's a class of players who I like to call the pure hoopers, who look like they're not trying, not breaking a sweat, but their games are just flashy, yet effortless, and he totally belongs in that class. Now the 2 honorable mentions who I have, and I'm sure I can make it fall on another list too, but we have Shannon Brown, another super athlete, who had one of the best blocks of all time that was called a foul. He had some of the most ridiculous hops I've ever seen, and some of the most crazy windmill dunks, and ever since his college days at Michigan State, this guy was just a pure high flyer who once again was a highlight reel waiting to happen. And my other honorable mention is Jamal Crawford, who I believe like had he been given the opportunity probably could have been an all-star. He was in fact the 3-time winner of the 6th Man of the Year award, and I remember hearing it once somewhere that like he actually never did any drill for his handles, and his crazy handles just came as a result of experimenting as well as like always having a ball in his hands growing up. He had some of the sickest moves and best handles that would also of course rival all the street ball players, and of course he could always light it up on the scoreboard too, and probably could still be in the NBA if he wanted to. In 2019, he had a 51-point game coming off the bench, and he was 39 years old at the time. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on my list. Next, I want to share a clip coming from Sam Demma, one of my favorite positive people to follow, and in this clip he tells a story about how although we can't control the outcomes, we can control our own actions. Let's listen together.
I'm 26 years old. It took me 26 years of life to learn this simple lesson. I'm walking home from school. I see a red coffee cup on the sidewalk. I made the decision. My first small action is gonna be picking up garbage walking home from school. I did it for the next 4 months. I didn't tell anybody. 5 days before the summer break, my best friend Dylan is driving home from school in his beautiful car, baby blue minivan, looking like an uncle of 12 kids. Dylan rolls over beside me, puts his window down. He's like, dude, why are you picking up garbage? I told him the 3 words my teacher taught me: small, consistent actions. Mr. Loudfoot said that if you take a small, consistent action, you can make a big difference. He said, dude, I love this. Why don't we get students in our school involved and we can all pick up trash together? The next day I see Dylan in the cafeteria. He pulls me over. He's like, Sam, we're gonna get every single student in our school to help us pick up trash. I'm like, okay, how are we gonna do it? 2 words, Sam: peer pressure. We asked every student in our school, you know what they all said? Yes. Can you guess how many people showed up to our first cleanup? 4. It was me, Dylan, and our moms. We can't control the outcomes, but we can control the inputs.
He's a great storyteller, very talented at that. So there are 2 very powerful lessons that we could take away from the story. First off, as Sam just said, we can't control the outcomes, but we can control our own actions. Although we may have no way of knowing the end result, taking this to like a sports analogy, you can do everything right, practice hard every day, but sometimes you still may have a bad game. Sometimes you do all the right studying for that test, and yet you still don't perform well on that test.
Oh, Gibby, there's so much not right about you.
As I like to see it though, as long as I give my best effort, and give everything I'm doing my absolute all, I can always make peace with the end result. As long as I don't leave anything on the table, then like I know I'll be good in the end. But I'd rather be the person who tried and went for it, than the person who's on the sidelines making fun of the people going after their goals. So Sam's story doesn't sound like a failure to me. He took his proper actions in making the world a better place. And this is how I love to look at everything I'm doing. My videos or posts that only get 1 or 2 likes, those aren't failures, those are evidence of someone believing in himself, and someone who has the persistence to keep going, working on his dreams, no matter what.
It's not a failure, it's steps to success.
The fact that I'm still going is all going to be part of my whole success story, and the fact that I haven't let the lack of external support stop me is amazing, I think. There are other ways to measure success and progress, beyond just the numbers. Or as you may or may not know, I wrote a book that I worked on for 4.5 years. Now honestly, no matter how many copies I sell, I did it. I did something that most people never finish, or are too afraid to start, and yet I followed through with it. And I think I wrote a pretty amazing book. And now the next lesson to highlight from Sam's story is to always do the right thing, even when it's unpopular. It doesn't mean that you don't do it. Treating people with respect and kindness might not always be rewarded right away, but it gives you a clean conscience and a peace of mind that other people can't have. Bullies, on the other hand, might get cheered on at first, but they're the ones who have to live with their bad spirits and horrible actions. Doing the right thing, though, I think gets rewarded in the end, I believe. As I'm so often saying, you might think nice guys finish last, and in a world that just rewards speed and being the first to do something, maybe that is true. But so often that fast success doesn't last. While on the flip side, nice guys win in the end, because authenticity and integrity get valued by the real ones. Now piggybacking off of doing the right thing even when no one's watching, or even when it's not noticed or celebrated immediately, I have a clip coming from someone named Kayla Christine, where she says how there's someone excited to see you and speaks to you every day, and you matter.
There is somebody who is excited to see you every single day, whether it's a coworker or a classmate or the cashier at your local gas station. When you show up, they're like, oh, thank goodness I get to see you today. You make my day so much better. And you might not know who that person is, and you might never know, and that's okay. It's not for you to know, really. The point of this is for you to remember that you are important and somebody looks forward to seeing you.
This is such an important message that's so true. You matter even if no one tells you. And I'm so grateful, I've had some people who work at my gym who tell me this after a few months of knowing me. Recently, I had a couple of them from my front desk at the gym tell me how much I make their days whenever they see me. They told me how much they love seeing me smile and how positive I am all the time, and this of course made me feel amazing. And the crazy thing is, it's not I even have to try super hard to impress these people. I do of course make an effort to treat everyone with kindness and to give out smiles and to use people's names, and to always look for ways to compliment people. What I'm trying to say is it's not fake.
Like you didn't call me a phony?
I'm just being authentically me. I love asking people how they're doing, and I love making people smile. And some days it feels like no one cares because I'll get mistreated, or I'll have people who are still nasty to me. But the fact that people do take notice of my light on the world is evidence that I matter to them, and that my kindness and positivity isn't being taken for granted. At least not by everyone. And I can almost guarantee the same exact thing when it comes to my content. I'm almost positive that there are people out there who haven't liked any of my posts, but if I were to stop making content tomorrow, these people would be very upset. By them seeing me persist or spread my positive message, or spread positivity throughout all my posts, even if they're not acknowledging it, it makes them happy. So I absolutely love this compliment, when people tell me that I can make them happy, and this is also a reason why you should tell the people in your life that they matter to you, because they might not always hear it, or feel that love. Last week I had another of my favorite gym people tell me how much my support of them meant to them during their whole college application process, and just hearing that acknowledgement made me feel great in knowing that my effort wasn't unnoticed. Anyways, just to reiterate, you matter, and you don't need 1 million followers as proof of that. Anyways, on to this week's sports recap, NFL Week 13 and NBA news now. So let's start our Week 13 NFL recap with Thanksgiving Day in the NFL. Which also, I hope you guys had a very happy Thanksgiving. One thing that I'm extremely grateful for is that now I'm up to 1,000 followers plus on both TikTok accounts. So let's go, I'm so happy about that, and I really appreciate all you guys who've been following along my journeys. And as I always say, the best is still yet to come. Anyways, in Game 1, I love what I saw out of Jordan Love and the Packers, my favorite team. As Love threw for 4 touchdown passes, 2 of them went to Dontavian Wicks, and also Christian Watson looks back up to full speed right now. And he caught a touchdown this one as well, and the Packers of course did all this without Tucker Kraft. On the other side, Jared Goff had a solid game as he was dishing out to Jameson Williams, but the Lions right now are actually in real danger of missing the playoffs, despite being 7-5. And I'll talk more about this in a bit, but some really good teams are going to be missing the playoffs this year. Now, while I love what I saw from the Packers, my only concern is that sometimes this team plays down to their competition. They can definitely elevate it and turn it on against the really good teams, and Mike Parsons often looks great as the closer in those games, but I just hope that team could build on this and not keep falling down to the level of their competition. In Game 2, which had two teams fighting to make the playoffs, it was Dak Prescott and the Cowboys beating the Chiefs 31-28, and that team overcame 4 touchdown passes from Patrick Mahomes. But the Cowboys offense did exactly what it's done all year, which is score points. And I heard Colin Cowherd saying this the other day. It's time for some people to start apologizing to Jerry Jones. The Cowboys didn't actually lose the Parsons trade. They got Kenny Clark and Quinnen Williams, and the defense overall is better and more well-rounded now. And Dallas is still hanging around in that division race. The Bengals, with the return of Joe Burrow, I guess somehow enhanced their defense too. In the first half, Joe did look a little bit rusty, but in the second half he played great and they threw 2 touchdown passes. Now, as much as I do love Joe Burrow, I wish that my favorite quarterback from this year, Joe Flacco, would have had the same help on defense, because he definitely deserves some wins. Lamar Jackson, on the other hand, has no touchdowns in the past 3 weeks. Is his injury still bothering him? Or is he just playing bad football like none of us are used to seeing over the past few years? Now, in the Black Friday game, Eagles-Bears, I still don't understand how this team is doing it. How are the Bears getting all these wins? On paper, I don't see how any of their players are better than most of the teams who they're beating, but yet they keep doing it. And of course, Ben Johnson was definitely a coaching upgrade this year. But the Bears' run game in this game was incredible. They ran for over 260 yards, coming between Monungai and Swift. And the one thing I'll say about Caleb Williams, even though he doesn't really have a high completion percentage, he rarely turns the ball over. He did throw 1 pick in this game, but the Bears team doesn't really turn the ball over that much, and the defense creates turnovers. On the other side, A.J. Brown had another big game as he had 10 catches for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Saquon had another average day. And this Eagles team, I don't want to say it's time to panic, but the whole wide receiver drama from the start of the season might be interfering with this team's game plan. Because now he's happy in A.J. Brown, but the rest of the team has been losing. Now in another really tough division, the 49ers still have the wild card as they move to 9-4, as that team crushed the Browns. Now once again, if we're able to be totally honest about Shador, once again, he did some good things on the field, some bad. However, his biggest issue still seems to be quick decision making. He had a ton of time to throw the ball in this game, and this season still make some solid throws, especially during the first half, and yet the Browns scored just 8 points in this game. Part of that was special teams, part of that was coaching, I get it, but whenever Gabriel did that, or whenever the Browns scored even more than that, he was seen as the worst. And same thing with Flacco when he was on the Browns. Now I'm not putting this all on Shador, but it's the overall way he's covered that I find to be super problematic. Where all of us are walking on eggshells, but honestly, I still have to see way more before I'm able to make a full judgment on him. But of course, the Browns team, as we know, has had massive problems all season, beyond any of the quarterbacks. The Niners defense keeps on impressing every week, despite having all these injuries. And that team, even with all these injuries, is still super tough to beat. Now in probably the most shocking result coming from Sunday, we saw the Panthers upset probably most people's best team in the NFL in the Rams, 31-28. And the Rams, as you know, have been my Super Bowl dark horse team all season. Basically, every other game, Bryce Young becomes Superman, and this just happens to be one of those games. In bad weather, he was 15 of 20 with 3 touchdown passes and looked great. He was 8 of 10 on 3rd and 4th downs, and he was throwing some beautiful passes. Now this is one of the reasons why I talk about why having humility is important. He got way better this offseason and definitely learned from his mistakes. He's still inconsistent, but you can see he's definitely leveled up his play on the field. So confidence is great. Confidence is one thing, but seeing yourself as above improvement is not going to help you long term. On the other side, after Stafford set the record for 28 touchdown passes with no interceptions, he then threw 2 picks. But also Devontae Adams had another 2 touchdown catches in this game, top his total to 14 on the year. Now overall, Stafford did end up playing a pretty solid game, I think, as did the running backs for the Rams. But the Panthers might be a better team than all of us think, as they essentially had their way with a tough Rams defense. Now finishing up that division, the Seahawks had no trouble with the Vikings, and their undrafted rookie QB Max Brosmer, who looked every bit the undrafted rookie. But as I'm always saying, there's always ways to improve, anything is possible, and I'm never going to give up on someone just after one game. But this Vikings team has fallen apart in recent weeks, while the Seahawks are keeping pace with the Rams. And the Buccaneers beat the Cardinals in another close game. Baker actually threw a touchdown pass to Tristan Wirfs, the big lineman, and also Bucky Irving ran for a touchdown in this game too. The Cardinals seem to have a shot at winning in every game, but yet that team keeps on losing the close ones. And the result that kind of upset me this week, even though I'm from New York, the Jets beat the Falcons 27-24. In recent weeks, this Jets team has actually looked solid. So I do have to give them credit, and that whole team is definitely playing hard for Aaron Glenn. Tyrod Taylor played a solid game and made some big throws. Adonai Mitchell had a great touchdown catch and had 8 catches in this one. But I really wanted to see Kirk Cousins get the win. In this game, it was so nice to see him finally get his confidence back, and he was finding his rhythm with the offense. However, on that last drive, his receivers dropped 3 catchable balls. So I don't put this one on Kirk, and I'm hoping he's able to build on this. Plus, this was all without Drake London. The Dolphins rattled off another win and have looked like a much better team in recent weeks, and they're still sort of in the playoff race, I guess. And Mike McDaniel saves his job once again, as Devon Achane ran for 134 and had a touchdown. For the Saints, though, I thought Tyler Shark actually played a solid game. He did make some really big throws, but they came up just short. The Colts lost a big one to the Texans as the Texans got a huge win. In recent weeks, suddenly the Colts look beatable, and the Texans' defense looks unstoppable, as of course the team is coached by DeMeco Ryans. The Colts got overtaken by Jacksonville in that division, as the Jaguars destroyed the Titans. So when Jonathan Taylor isn't running for 3 touchdowns and 200 yards, that seems just different and easier to beat. Even when Daniel Jones still played an overall solid game in this one, but that team is now in danger of missing the playoffs after a super hot start to the season. In another close game, the Commanders came within inches of beating the Denver Broncos. Had it not been for a pass that got blocked by Benito, Marcus Mariota actually played a great game in this one, but it was the Broncos D coming up with a big play in overtime to win it. And as soon as the fourth quarter of any game starts, Bo Nix comes alive. The Bills crushed the Steelers as Aaron Rodgers played through a broken wrist, hurt his nose, and looked absolutely beat up at the end of this one. The Steelers, who looked great to start the year, can't run the ball, the defense hasn't looked good, Rodgers is not on the same page as his receivers, and he's definitely getting frustrated. It's not too late for them to put it all together, as the division is still totally up for grabs, but they're going to have to figure some things out fast. The Chargers beat the Raiders pretty easily, not much to say there, although Justin Herbert might be hurt, and the Patriots rolled over the Giants even with Jackson Dart returning. Drake May keeps up his spectacular season. Now looking around the NFL, it looks like some really good teams are going to have to miss the playoffs this year. It's just inevitable based on everyone's records. I mean, just take a look at some of these division and wildcard races. In the AFC, you have the Chargers, Colts, Jaguars, and Bills all at 8-4. Most years that'll be a lock to make the playoffs. You have the Steelers, Ravens, and Chiefs all at 6-6, and others who are all fighting for a playoff spot. And the Texans are at 7-5 and playing great football too. Now, if you would have told me before the season that Burrow, Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson are all going to be in danger of missing the playoffs, I would have said you're crazy. And then in the NFC, you have the Lions at 7-5, currently on the outskirts. You have the crazy NFC West with the 49ers at 9-4, and Seahawks and Rams both at 9-3, all fighting for the division title. And 2 of those teams have the wild card right now. You have the Cowboys and Panthers, who are both about 500, fighting for division titles. One fighting with the Bucs, the other fighting with the Eagles. So there's honestly so much parity right now in the NFL, and any team can win on any given Sunday, as we saw what happened with the Panthers this week. But what sucks though is there's going to be a really good team in both conferences who's going to miss out on the playoffs. Now in the NBA, first I saw the news that Danilo Gallinari retired. I remember back when he first came into the NBA, as he was drafted by the Knicks as a highly touted prospect from Italy. And he was always a really good player, super crafty, had a lethal post-up game, had a great turnaround and mid-range jumper, as well as an awesome 3-pointer. He was never an all-star, but he did get super close a few times, as he had 2 seasons averaging about 20 points a game. And I think, and I know saying this is super unpopular, but the trade for Carmelo Anthony messed up a really good season and really good team chemistry that the Knicks were having before that, because the trade for Melo got rid of all these glue guys. A lot of people forget the Knicks actually had a super good team before that, and shortly after that's when you got the name Melo the Ball Stopper. But of course an incredible player too. I'm not going to hate on Melo. Anyways, in Denver, Gallinari actually recreated a similar fit, as he was on a team with no superstars but yet had a really balanced attack. So this guy had multiple 40-point games in his career, and shout out to him as he ends his career with a championship in Puerto Rico. Now in the NBA right now, my current favorite team, the Los Angeles Lakers, may have had their honeymoon phase end. I don't want to overreact, but of course over the weekend we all witnessed Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic as being the best duo in the NBA right now. Austin Reeves and his numbers up to this point haven't just been all-star numbers, but rather all NBA numbers. He and Luka have both been shooting an incredibly high and efficient percentage, and I think Austin Reeves might be the new white chocolate. There, I said it, it's done. He's not just a scorer, but the ways he does it, he's so crafty, his handles are so tight, and he puts on some nasty moves whenever he's given the chance. Now the Lakers had a bad looking loss to the Suns the other night, and I don't want to overreact once again, but Rui only took one shot in this one. LeBron only took 10 shots, and was not in the flow of the offense at all. And this is exactly what I was afraid of as of last week. I get it, and I'm totally on board with it. Highlight Luka and AR, and let LeBron find his touches. But I don't think that team could reach its full potential if LeBron isn't in the flow of the offense. And look, I love Luka Doncic, one of my current favorite players, and we all know that he can put up insane numbers. But the ball is going to have to move more, and these other guys are going to need touches and more shots. If everyone is just running up and down, the whole team is going to become unmotivated. The Suns, though, are actually a really underrated team who's playing really well right now, with Dylan Brooks, Connor Gillespie, Devin Booker, and some of those bigs have been playing really well too. And hey, the Lakers had a great streak before this. Losses are going to happen for any team except the OKC Thunder, but the way this one happened just raised a tiny red flag in me. Now one final point, I saw a post the other day talking about Keontae George over the weekend, and this guy's been great all year. He's averaging close to 25 a game, he's still super young, and he's someone who could light it up on the floor. Then he has a game over the weekend where he missed every shot and had 8 turnovers. And of course, everyone has bad games, it's part of basketball, it's part of sports, it's part of life, it's gonna happen. We're all gonna miss shots. But how this one happened looked bad. I'm not saying it was exactly the same situation, but it looked a lot like the Terry Rozier video that we saw a few weeks ago. And I hope it's not, because he did come back the next day and scored 28, but I just had to point that one out. Anyways, that's your sports recap for the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get back to the video now. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing all the topics. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel now. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Catch you next time. Peace.